Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Bhavan. We will begin with Mangalacharan. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupananda Guru Varga ki jai, Pradipavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur. So starting with page 1 in this Gaudiya Giti Gucha, Mangalacharan, Vandeham Shri Guru, Bandeham, Vandeham. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamsha Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Namine Shri Krishna Leela Katane Sudaksham Audarya Madhurya Gunaishtrayuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shirasha Namami Tridandinam Bhaktashyamanim Cha Shri Krishna Pada Jitaikaviti Chaitanya Leela Viharasar Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragya Keshava Iti Namine Atimatya Charitraya Swashritanam Chapaline Jiva Dukhe Sadarkaya Shri Nama Premadayine Nama Om Vishnu Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshvaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripadhaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyan Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Ujjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinakarine Rupanuga Virudhapo Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambha Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchiranandanamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Marayate Gaura Virbhava Bhume Swam Nirdeshta Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaganyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaitam Suratopam Mama Mangamate Gati Matsarvasvapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Yad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagar Singhasanasto Shri Shri Radha Shri Govinda Deva Preshthanibi Sevyamano Smarami Shri Mandra Sarasarambhi Vanshivata Tatastitaha Karshambenu Swanar Gopi Gopinatha Shri Estunaha Vrindasi Devyai Vyayai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Sat Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupasarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairamachandrika Vikarnam विद्याबधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनं हरे राम हरे नामेव केवलं कलो नस्त्येव गतिरन् हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Shri Guru Charana Padma, page 8. Shri Guru, SRIGURU, Charana, CARANA, 28.
More signal. Import picture.
Sorry. Is anyone else online right now?
No. I'm just streaming it from so that I can get. Should I turn it off?
Oh, yeah, probably because it's sharing the signal.
It's only so that I can see if there are questions.
Right. After the storm yesterday, internet became a little bit slow.
I turned off mine, maybe that will work. Bad signal? Is it a signal? It's still live, right? It is live.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Samva Okay, Sakala Vaishnava Gosai, page 46. Page 46, Sakala Vaishnava Gosai, S-A-K-A-L-A, Sakala Vaishnava Gosai. Sakala Vaishnava Gosai, Doya Kuru Dante Trino Dhori Gohe Edino Pamare
Sakala Vaishnava
Dante Trino Nitai Gunamani Amar.
Page 61 in a small book.
Cartels too loud? Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Sabe aha Gauranga Bolia. Page 80. Kabe aha. A-B-E. Aha. A-H-A. Kabe aha Gauranga Bolia. Kabe aha Gauranga Bolia. Kabe aha Gauranga Bolia. So Kevashanaya Shyamana. That's just what popped up. 183. It goes really high and really low.
They all do.
Hmm?
They all do.
SOI Keva Shunailo Shyamanam. Page 183. Krishna Hari Lal ki jai. Vande Shri Vrishabhanu Sutapada. Oh, I don't know yet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. 342.
I'm just going to check really quick to see how I just want to see it.
Starts with Vande, V-A-N-D-E, Vande Shri Vrishabhanu Sutapada. Then here, bring me your phone really quickly. There it is. Some storage is full. Balabhadra?
He said it's why isn't it in KK songs?
It may not be in KK songs, but it could be in the other one.
Last time this happened too. If you want to just do it.
Kalayati Nayanam. Page 342.
He wants to know how it starts again.
V-A-N-D-E, Vande Shri Vrishabhanu Sutapadam. Vande Shri Vrishabhanu. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It's from the Gitabali section of Sri Stabhamrita Lahari.
I don't think it's there last time they couldn't do that. If it's there, we'll know it for tomorrow.
I don't know if we're going to see it tomorrow. Kalayati Nayanam, page 342. Kalayati, K-A-L-A-Y-A-T-I. Kalayati Nayanam. What? She was telling me something. She started talking to me.
She was singing with you.
Oh, sorry. कलयति नायानं दिशि दिशि वल्लिकं पङ्कजमिव मृदु मारुतचरितं Hare
you remember it? Or do I have to go look for it?
I don't remember it.
It was Radhika, Devi Dasi.
Can I do Mangalacharan first?
Okay.
And then we'll do the questions.
I'm going to just try and find it then. I can't find it.
Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namah Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Namine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad, Ashtottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. In the same thousands of Dandava Pranam unto the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad, Ashtottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gaudiya Acharyas. And also my Dandava Pranam to all Vaishnavas, who ever were, who are now, and whoever will be, including all who are present with us today. My Dandava Pranam.
Dandava Pranam.
Dandava Pranams.
So some questions came yesterday. And so, did you find them? Oh.
I said I couldn't, my phone won't pull it up.
Okay.
I think it's too little bandwidth. There was something about how to deal with people when you're enthusiastic and they're maybe something like that, I remember.
Okay. So this is quite an important question, because most of us deal with this on a regular basis.
Maybe you should repeat what we remember of the question first.
What I remember of the question, the essence of it is, basically in relationships with devotees, especially between householder couples, sometimes one is more inspired, of trying to encourage the other one or force the other one to come up to my standard, and sometimes it's the other way around. And also there's consideration within that relationship for possibility of making offense.
And it was how to remain inspired in those.
And how to remain inspired within such situations despite the ups and downs that come from both sides. And this is something which is really, it's plaguing all devotees, whether they are married or not, in all of our relationships. So, in most cases, if we find that our friends are discouraging us from developing on the path of bhakti, if we wear tilak and they start laughing at us or mocking us, I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me many, many years ago before I came to Srila Gurudev. My friends invited me to a Christmas party, and at that time I was kind of always like this. I was one of the rare Gurukulis that was going to the temple and chanting and doing those kind of things. I was inspired by seeing another one do it, and I thought, oh my God, if it can be done, then why can't I do it? It was taboo to be a devotee as a Gurukuli who endured so many difficulties in the name of bhakti and in the name of Krishna. And so it was quite interesting. So anyway, I was going to the temple every day. I was chanting and trying to become inspired in bhakti. And my friends, other Gurukulas, invited me to a Christmas party where we would just give some gifts to one another. And so I was really happy when I got a new bead bag, and I gave some, little things to these other devotees who were also there, who would come regularly, at least on Sundays, to the temple. And I didn't realize it, but one of my friends, who was actually the good devotee, that inspired me to, just by their presence, by their chanting and by them being at the temple, who had inspired me by their presence to take up this path, to continue and to not be worried about what others think of it. They had offered me a cup of juice. And so I thought, great, I'll take some juice. And it was just fruit punch. But when I put it to my tongue instantly swelled, and I realized this is not ordinary juice. And I didn't know anything about that, but I guess someone had spiked the punch, whatever that was. But instantly my tongue reacted, and I knew that was alcohol. And I became quite offended that this devotee friend of mine was trying to give me alcohol by trick, thinking it was really funny. And then the other ones started kind of joking, let's hold him down and chop off his Srika. At that point, I realized this is not favorable for me. I don't want to be around this. I thought that one was maybe joking, but this started getting a little serious. So I said, thank you all for inviting me here. Thanks for the gift. I have to go. Haribol. And I left that situation. So we have to see what are our friends? Are our friends trying to help inspire us on the path of bhakti, or are they trying to take us away from the path of bhakti? What is friendship in devotion? Friendship means who is encouraging us on the path of bhakti. So that's an extreme case of someone who is actually doing something which is quite, you can say, demonic or unfavorable, trying to pull me away, or even just trying to mock me or hurt my resolve. But then we have the other kind of situation where it might not be that someone is trying to pull you away, they just themselves are quite weak. And you're always in that situation where you're trying to chant, you're trying to be inspired, and the person who is closest to you is like, just sitting there snacking and watching TV all day. We've seen it hundreds of times as we've traveled around the world. We've been in everyone's houses, so we know all of these dynamics. And we hear about it quite often as well. So these dynamics are real and they happen. And we've even experienced it in our own relationship. Sometimes I'll be very inspired and Sudevi just wants to sleep because I just have too much energy and I make her tired. And then sometimes she's really inspired and I just want to sleep because I'm tired. And sometimes it's like that. There's this kind of teeter-totter thing going on. And it happens in every relationship. It's not that she's trying to stop me from my inspiration or I'm trying to stop her, but still, here you have, it might be a situation where someone is just feeling exhausted. And maybe the tendency is kind of to not feel like my partner's encouraging me enough. And so these kind of things happen all of the time as well. And most who are present with us today may have had some kind of experience of that. I mean, recently so many different messages are coming from different devotees about these kinds of dynamics in their relationships. So, one thing is, we may be able to have a little bit of compassion in terms of the fact that we're all still in this material world. And we see it where someone would be very inspired in one way, but also expressing so many material desires in another way. And sometimes it's from the other side as well. So there's a lot of spiritual inspiration, but still there's the material thing flowing underneath as well. And so we can understand, yes, I also have that in me. And I shouldn't be too hard. You cannot force bhakti on anyone. Gurudev didn't like force. Gurudev actually really didn't like it. If someone was trying to force someone, the only person who has that right to force is that person that we give our I am giving myself to you. I'm placing myself in your care because I am not strong enough on my own to even desire to make a move. So I am making a move forward on the forward progress on the path of bhakti.
My independence.
So I'm giving my independence to you. As I told the other day, I'm checking myself into your rehab facility. And I'm going to give myself to you so that you can help me to break to this material world. So if we give over that right to my independence, to become intoxicated by the material world, then Guru has that right to correct us, to chastise us, to fix us. But it becomes very difficult when, let's say, someone like me gets really, really inspired. And I'm like, everyone wake up, it's 3:45, it's time for Mangalarti, let's do this! And then everyone's tired and they're like trying to get up. And then a week later, then I'll be like asleep. And they'll be like, hey, what happened to you? So I get this utsahamayi. I'm just using myself as an example. You can check your own pulses and see if you have that within you. Enthusiasm comes, inspiration, utsahamayi. What we used to call pure devotee syndrome, PDS. It's what we call holier than thou syndrome, where suddenly I'm like on top of the world, I'm, doing everything and wow. And then I project onto others what my spiritualness would be. And they're kind of like, okay, yeah, but a week ago you weren't like that, and next week you're not going to be like that. And so that creates a dynamic of maybe mistrust. And also it doesn't inspire the other person. It doesn't inspire because it's not a real fire. Real fire is consistency over time with dedication. When you see that, regulation, dedication, consistency, in the face of all of that, in the face of everyone else's weakness, and somebody is consistent, they're maintaining their utsaha, their enthusiasm, their nishtaya, their determination, their dharya, their patience, and they continue moving forward, that in itself will be the greatest inspiration. So often parents communicate with us, my child is not interested in bhakti, what should I do? What should I do? We're like, how old is your child? When they say they're 4 years old, we say, if they're living in your house, they have to follow your rules. So you bring them to kirtan. You bring them into your situation and include them. When they're 15 or 16, you can't force them anymore. So what is the best thing to do? They ask. Best thing to do is to become the best devotee we can be on our own. If I maintain consistency, dedication, responsibility, maturity, regulation, in the face of all adversity, this will be very inspiring. Why? Because the material world is a place of many difficulties, so many troubles. And there's nothing in the material world that is really dependable. Everything is always bound to create difficulty because that is the nature of the material world and the material energy. So at a certain point, it might be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or even another lifetime. But anyhow, that person will see, wait a second, there's some consistency, there's some responsibility and regulation and dedication, something that is a rock that I can hold on to. That is why Sri Guru is so important, because we're always doing these ups and downs. Madhurya Kadambini speaks about this, Tarangarangini, going through the waves, the crests and the dips, up and down, sometimes happy and enthusiastic and sometimes depressed. So many different things going on in our minds. So all of these different things are happening to us, and really, when we see that there is somebody who is stable, then we know, through my ups and downs, I have someone to look at, to take association from, who is dependable, who does not deviate even one slight bit, who's completely solid in every situation. That is Sri Guru. There's nothing that can shake them, nothing that can break them, nothing that can rock their faith. No big storm, no big disease or anything can shake them. What to speak of any Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Krodha Vegam, Jiffa, Udara Upashta Vegam. These things cannot touch them. There is nothing that can shake them. That person I can put my faith in and depend on. And in times of difficulty, I can be strong. Despite what's going on around me. And all of these things that are going on around us, we can also see it as the mercy of Krishna. As a test. If, when everything is beautiful around us, and everything is comfortable and peaceful, and the environment is attractive, we are able to chant. But then some difficult situation comes, some annoyances come, a dust storm comes, or any kind of storm, criticisms come, and we give up our will to chant. Then we're not doing very well by passing that test. What will happen at the end of one's life? Krishna Tadiya Parapankaja Panjarangam. I think it's King Kulashekar. Prana Prayana Samayi Kapava Prapita Kanda Varupa Pavijo Smaranam Kutashte. There is saying that at the time of death, vomit will be coming, mucus will be coming, all sorts of problems, stool and urine will be coming. We'll have so many difficulties, our lungs will be pounding, we won't be able to think or breathe or anything. And at that time, we're supposed to remember Krishna. But how can we remember Krishna with all of these difficulties around us if we don't practice in our own lives when the smaller difficulties are around us? What are the smaller difficulties? So many small little things come. Someone is not meeting my expectation to be at my level, my current level, at this moment in time. So it creates a problem for me. Well, you're not helping me, so I'm not going to be inspired. I'm not able to chant 16 rounds a day or even 4 rounds a day, so I'm just going to chant nothing. Or there's too many politics going on in the world. Donald Trump is saying this. There's riots going on outside. So I can't chant, oh my God, there's a disease, a pandemic going. No, there's not. There's a hoax. No, there's a disease. No, there's a hoax. Why are you wearing your mask? Why aren't you wearing your mask? So many different problems are coming. And also intersanga problems. Issues which can create a lot of difficulty in the heart. Shaking the mind, shaking the heart, maybe shaking the faith. If I cannot chant in these circumstances, if I cannot remain steady, then how will I be able to remain steady at the time of death when it really counts? Krishna says, Yang yang bhapi smaram bhavam tyajantyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sadattat bhava bhavikaha. Whatever state of consciousness, whatever state of being one is in at the time of death, that state they will attain, for certain. And that consciousness that one is in depends on what someone does throughout their lifetime. It's not that one can just do all nonsense their entire life and then bank on the fact that at the last moment of my life, I'm just going to say Krishna and there I have it all made. There was one devotee, he was on Harinam with all of the devotees. Someone came out of the crowd and hit him on the head with a metal pole. And after some time, he left this world. The devotees approached Srila Gurudeva Maharaj. What happened to him? Where did he go? Did he go back to Godhead? Srila Gurudeva Maharaj explained that death is a doorway. Death is a doorway. As you were, as your general state of consciousness was in your life, you will continue. It's not that one can just go, Hare Krishna, and suddenly, it's not that they're chanting the pure name. What happens to us? We come together, we chant kirtan, we do kirtan, and then we go back to our material activities. Which means that I'm not really fully 24 hours constantly absorbed in serving Krishna. So my consciousness is not really purely Krishna consciousness. I have part-time Krishna consciousness and most time material consciousness. This is the case for most. There's so many material distractions. With that, then we need to really take our pulse, as our Gurudeva would say. He would always say, take your pulse and see how much time are you giving to Krishna and how much time are you giving for everything else. And we can see, what is it, Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Maharaj? He would ask this question. How much time, what are you giving for Krishna? He said we give all sorts of nice luxuries to our family members. We give all beautiful clothes and beautiful jewelry and gold and diamonds and everything. So many gifts and gold and everything else. So many nice things, but what do we give to Krishna? Maybe a cheap outfit from Loy Bazaar? Or we might put a piece of fruit in front of them. And here's your food, now let me go out to the restaurant and eat. So what are we giving to Krishna and what are we giving to our own material attachments? And we can check by that. We can see how much attachment we have. I think it was also Srila Trivikram Maharaj. He said if you were on one side and Mother Yashoda was on the other side and you're calling Krishna, come to eat, which way would Krishna go? Then we can check to see if we have that kind of love that actually attracts Krishna. Because he says, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati taraham bhaktipahritam ashnami prayatatmana. If one doesn't have anything else, or all they have is a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, and they offer it with love and devotion, bhakti, yome bhaktya prayachati, if they offer it with love and devotion, then I will accept that. I will accept what they give with love and devotion. But if you have real love and devotion, then you will desire naturally to give whatever you have to Krishna. Everything that comes in contact with you, yes, this is Krishna's, this is for him. Oh, me also, this, body, mind, everything, this is also Krishna's. If you have real love and devotion for Krishna. So in the context of the question that was asked, sometimes one becomes more inspired, sometimes the other becomes more inspired, and sometimes it's difficult to find a balance. But in every situation, no matter what, there's also a responsibility to ourselves that we have. Our relationship with Krishna is not our husband's or wife's relationship with Krishna. It is our own. Our relationship with our Gurudev is not their relationship with their Gurudev, even though the Guru might be the same person. Our relationship is our relationship. Our relationship with Harinam Prabhu is our responsibility. It's not my husband's or wife's responsibility to chant my Harinam for me. I have my own duty to myself. And despite what they are doing, I must try to become strong in myself and not necessarily dependent upon their strength and not becoming weak because of their weakness. But still, as partners, it's imperative that we should endeavor to encourage one another somehow. We should try, this is devotee, to encourage one another. Encourage is different than force. Encourage is different than belittle. You're not even a good devotee anyway. I know you're always lusty. You're like this, you're like that, you're so lazy. And then we can start making offenses. Because maybe somebody has something, some anarthas in their heart, but they also have a desire to love and serve Krishna. They just have weakness. As our Gurudev said, I'm the only doctor in this hospital and all others are patients. So we're all patients. Therefore, we must have a little patience with the weaknesses and the strengths that manifest periodically. We have weaknesses, but always to be encouraging, to encourage one another, to try somehow. This is the qualification for being in a position in any relationship, that we always try to encourage those who are our dependents or those we care about on the path of bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam tells, Shastra tells, Gurur na sasyat, svajano na sasyat, Pita na sasyat, janani na sasyan, daivam na sasyan, napachista sasyan, namocha yadyas samupeta mrityum. That if one cannot deliver their dependence from the path which leads to death, samupeta mrityum, mrityu means death, then they should not take that responsibility of being in that position. One should not take the role of being guru if they cannot deliver their dependence from the path which leads to death. One should not take the position of being a friend or family member. One should not take the position of being a father or a mother. Pita na sasyaj, janani na sasyan. One should not take the position of being a demigod. One should not take the position of being a husband if they cannot help to deliver their dependence from the path which leads to death. And from the other side, our Srila Gurudev said, don't take this too literally now, right now, but if somebody is not encouraging us in Krishna Bhakti and they're in a position of superiority that we are dependent upon them, and they're actually encouraging us away from Krishna Bhakti, then they are fit to be rejected. And the example given in all Shastra, Gurur na sasyat. Which guru is rejected? Bali Maharaj rejected the order of his guru because his guru was opposed to him serving Vamandev. And for this, Bali Maharaj is glorified in all Shastra. Svajano, one's own persons, one's own family. Vibhishan rejected his brother Ravan's order, and Vibhishan served Sri Ram. Pita na sasyaj. Prahlad rejected the order of his father, Hiranyakashipu, and instead continued to chant Harinam and give his love and faith to Krishna. And for that he is glorified in all Shastras. Janani na sasyan, who rejected the order of their mother. Who rejected their mother? Bharat Maharaj, the brother of Ram, rejected Kaikeyi because she had cursed or sent Ram to the forest for 14 years. He considered it such a grave offense, aparad, that he disowned her as his mother. Daivam nasasyan. The Brajavasis rejected Indra and instead served Giriraj Maharaj on the order of Krishna. Napatis chasasyan. Two main examples of this. Pati means husband, who rejected the orders of their husbands to serve Krishna. The Yajna Patnis in Bhatrod, they rejected the order of their husbands who were performing Yajna, chanting all mantras and everything. Their Brahmin husbands, because their Brahmin husbands told them, if you leave to go serve Krishna, we will reject you and you can never return. And it was a toss-up. Do we follow the orders of our husbands or do we serve Krishna?
Serve Krishna.
Serve Krishna. For this they are so glorified. And who is glorified more than anyone?
The gopis.
Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayasta Dhama Vrindavana Ramya Kachudupasana Vrajavidu Vargena Ya Kalpita. Vargena Ya Kalpita. The opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the topmost worship of the Lord is the worship that the Vraja Gopis did of the Lord. That kind of upasana. They gave up everything. They gave up all dharma, all of the instructions of all of their seniors and their husbands and everything, and ran to the forest in the middle of the night to serve Krishna. And for this, Krishna said, I can never repay you for your love and affection. Napareham niravadya samyujam. For this, Krishna said, I can never repay you. He became eternally indebted to them for their love and affection. So this verse, Gurur na sasyat, svajano na sasyat, is showing if someone is actually trying to take me away from the path of bhakti, then I have no obligation to maintain allegiance to them. We've seen this also with Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. His own brother became implicated in Vaisnava aparad, more than Vaisnava aparad, Nityananda aparad. So Krishnadas Kaviraj didn't know what to do. He immediately left that association. He went into the forest and he didn't know which way to go or what to do. He was sleeping under a tree, and that very night Sri Nityananda Prabhu manifested to him. I don't want to use the word in a dream, although it is said dream. It was a spurti. It was a darshan, transcendental darshan. In such a beautiful, magnificent, magnanimous way, Sri Nityananda Prabhu manifested to Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and gave him his mercy, his blessings, and instruction. You should go to Vrindavan and there be under the guidance of the Goswamis. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, because he gave up that bad association who was against Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he was directly given the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and direct instruction by him to go to Vrindavan and be in the association of Jiva Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Das Goswamis. Yes?
I can't even get on to see if there are questions. You should just let them know that.
We can't even get on to see if there are questions. We don't even know if you're even seeing this or not, so we're just going to do our best and continue. Can you get on? So, with this in mind, we can determine whether something is favorable or not. However, Prahlad didn't just leave the association of Hiranyakashipu, and Raghunath Das Goswami did not just leave the association of his family. It's not the external departure, but the internal departure. What is the internal departure? If something is favorable to the development of Krishna Bhakti, I embrace that within my heart. If it is unfavorable, then I reject that within my heart. But Prahlad didn't run away from Hiranyakashipu. Raghunath Das Goswami tried to run away from his family. Mahaprabhu sent him home. He said, don't be like a mad fellow. Don't be like a crazy person. But within your mind and heart, you should develop rati and always serve Radha and Krishna. So we can also see that this situation, whatever situation we are in, can be a training for that highest destination. Look at the gopis of Vrindavan. They don't have a favorable situation. Externally, they're there at home. They're not allowed to go outside. They're not allowed to run outside to see Krishna as he's going to the forest in the morning. Their atmas are running outside. Their minds are running outside, but they have to remain inside. And they're serving, they're doing so many things. They are massaging the feet of their husbands. They're cooking, they're cleaning, they're taking care of children, taking care of their in-laws, doing so many things. But their mind and heart is completely stolen by Krishna. Always remembering Krishna's beautiful form, his names, his qualities, his pastimes, in whatever they are doing. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Always remembering Krishna, always endeavoring to go deep into their internal connection with Krishna. And yet everything outside looks perfect. Srila Rupa Goswami speaks about this in Srila Bhaktivedanta Sindhu. Don't mistake it for an encouragement to be like this, but he said, just as a housewife who has a beloved outside of her home is always constantly 24/7 remembering, meditating on, and obsessing on her beloved. In the same way, we might be in whatever situation we're in this world. And everything might be perfect. We might need to maintain everything perfectly on the outside, but our mind and our heart and everything should be completely obsessed and absorbed 24/7 in Krishna. If someone has this kind of mood, the affair mood, what goes on in the house? Everything is more perfect. Everything is nicely cleaned. Very sweet, kind words are being told. Everything is, the food is prepared. Everything is nice. Everything is done in such a way that no one can detect what is going on inside. It's okay to cheat for Krishna. For Krishna's happiness, for Krishna's pleasure, and for Krishna's benefit, if it is Krishna, then it's okay. If it's not Krishna, then the result is great, simple reaction. And it is against dharma. But if it is for Krishna, exclusively for Krishna, anyabhilashita shunyam, jnana karmadhyanavritam, anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. That whatever situation I'm in this world, whatever form I'm in, but if I give my heart exclusively to Krishna, not only is that okay, that is perfection and that is proper. If we make that internal endeavor, whoever is around us will also feel that. And they will also become inspired. I'll give you an example, personal example. When we were living in Fiji, I've told it before, I think, I'm just going to tell it quickly. We were very far away from anybody. 2 buses came down that road in front of our place every day.
Once a day.
No, it was 2 buses that came. 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. That was it. And the nearest village was a 45-minute drive by bus. So I brought Sudevi to that place. Poor little city girl. She had no idea what was happening to her. It was literally, externally, paradise on earth, if you want to call it that. Mango trees, avocado trees, papaya trees. It was an old coconut plantation. We were living on a mountainside overlooking the ocean with the sunset right in front and rainbows and islands in the distance and everything, really. But she got island fever. No association with any devotees. We didn't have a phone. We didn't have internet. I know some of you are thinking, oh my God, that sounds perfect. We had a generator that was really, really loud and we didn't like to turn it on. So we had no electricity either. We used these hurricane lanterns in the evening. We'd go to bed when the lights went down and the sun went down and wake up when the sun came up. Actually, we'd wake up earlier. And anyway, needless to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, she became quite depressed in that situation. She didn't want to see the view. She didn't want to see the ocean. It's called island fever, and we were on an island, a small island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. We made curtains and covered all the windows, and she didn't have to see the view. And she had nowhere else to turn except for the instructions of Gurudev, the instructions of Prabhupada, Sri Harinam Prabhu. So I was going on the farm every day. 10 people were working for me. And she began taking shelter of Harinam Prabhu. Within a very short time, few weeks, I started noticing a change. Less depression, more light, more glowing. And I was like, what's going on here? But I was so busy working, literally day and night. I was up firing the kava dryers all night. Every hour and a half, I would have to have my alarm set. And then I would go out for about an hour and make sure everything was right. So I would sleep for half an hour at a time, an hour out working, another half hour sleep, hour working through the night, and also working through the day. So I was engaged in the extreme struggle for material existence, trying to create some possible future wealth. And she was at home, reading, chanting, cooking for Thakurji, taking shelter of the process. And I noticed something amazing. Such an amazing change happened in her that I was thinking, whatever she's having, I want that also. Just by seeing it, she was chanting 64 rounds a day, completely absorbed, serving Thakurji. Everything, even how she was cooking, was different than before, because it was intention, endeavoring to follow the instructions of Gurudev and our Guru Varga. So much so that after 2 months of that, I was like, now I want my turn. There was about a month and a half that we were both, like, I began to do it also, and I began to neglect the farms. Let the workers take care of everything, and I was just focusing my attention there. And then I wanted to really focus. So I very happily sent her home to be with, home meaning back to America to be with her mother, and I took that time for myself to dive deep. The point I'm making is that by seeing that person who was close to me making such a change in their own life by following the process, she began to glow so much. I could see it, like the effulgence, the happiness, the inspiration. Not only that, but something else started happening. We started doing festivals, Janmashtami, and we would make a few phone calls, come, bring your friends, we're going to be cooking. We'd cook enough for 50 people. And we would see a line. We said, if you come, bring your plates and bowls. And people would be coming up the hill. Not only Indians. It's in Fiji, it's Indians from India. Their families came a couple hundred years before. And the rest of it are the native Fijians who are all Christians. So all were coming up. And they would come to the place, and they would all participate. They would sit there in the kirtans. They would respect it. They would hear the katha, and then they would all take prasadam together. We started noticing an amazing shift. It wasn't just with each other, but even those around us in the vicinity started coming up. And every day, I would go to work, and she was giving class, and people started coming up, even from far places on the island, to come and hear the class. And we were like, wow, that's very interesting. And then the foreman of our workers, he told Sudevi, bhajans are nice, the kirtan is nice, arti is nice, but pravachan, the class, is best. Again, tomorrow. And so every day, she would make a class. I would go up in the mountains and work. And so we started noticing this massive change. And so I just wanted to share with you that if you yourself make that strong internal endeavor without expecting or forcing anyone else to carry it for you. Sri Guru carries it for us, but even then, we have to do something ourselves. We can't, Gurudev wants me. He said, you want me to put the rasgulla in my mouth. You want me to chew it. You want me to swallow it and digest it, and you want to get all the benefit. He said, it doesn't work like that. He said, you want all of the benefit and all of the potency of all of my realizations from my 50 years of intense sadhana and bhajan to come to you in a moment. He said, no, you must. So we have a responsibility to ourselves to make that personal endeavor to connect deeply with Sri Guru, to connect deeply with Sri Harinam Prabhu, to develop our relationship with Guru, Gauranga, and Radha and Krishna, which is independent and separate from anyone else's relationship with them. But as aspiring Vaishnavas, we can encourage each other. But if they don't want to hear it, then we can't force it. The thing to do, or the always best thing to do, is a strong endeavor within ourselves. No matter what's going on outside of myself, I will maintain my own determination, my own patience, my own following of those activities which are favorable for bhakti. Tat tat karma pravartanat. association which is not favorable. Even if they are doing things like associating with mundane personalities or, spending time like that for hours a day or whatever else. Maybe they're not avoiding unfavorable association, but I don't have to accept that unfavorable association. There's no obligation for me to do that. Maybe sometimes, for a little bit here or there may be some kind of obligation, but not most of the time. Sato vrite, following the path of the saints, the sadhus, I can make that choice for myself. I have a responsibility to myself. And in the same way, I also have a responsibility to myself to be informed, to not be foolish, to not make foolish decisions, to understand what is favorable for bhakti, what is unfavorable for bhakti. I can't do anyone else. Because things. Strict verification. Give me proof. You're telling me this. Is there anything else? What about the other side? Okay, now I have a balanced perspective. How should I move forward? So this is something that we owe to ourselves as an individual jiva who is seeking perfection, always. We're always seeking perfection because that is the intrinsic nature of the jiva. To seek perfection, because that is what we are made of. We're made of that, and we're meant to serve the all-perfect, the all-complete. Jiva is made of love for Krishna. And that is our perfection. So all of the other things around us, whatever happens, we can endeavor to encourage our environment. But we will carry whatever we carry from one environment to the next. Whatever karmas we have, they will come no matter what. You will shift from one place to the next, and still the same issues will be there. According to our karma. So Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Srila Maharaj has explained in many, many, many cases that the environment is always friendly. The environment is favorable. We just have to understand and see it. How is that environment favorable? What is that situation? Kunti Devi takes it to the extreme. She says, because of my high birth, my wealth, my bodily beauty, my knowledge, my education, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shri, I have become proud. And because of my pride, my enjoyment, I'm unable to remember Krishna. So what happens? Oh, so many catastrophes, so many difficulties were sent to her and the Pandavas. So many difficulties. And when those difficulties came, she was able to remember Krishna. And Krishna would appear to help them. So she prays, let those calamities come again and again so that I may always remember you. So she's seen that even those calamitous environments are actually more favorable than the other situation. The environment is favorable, not that if I'm in a situation where I'm associating only with Vishayis, with sense enjoyers, or karmis, or mayavadis, or anything which is opposed to bhakti, that I should see that this is a favorable situation. Bhaktivedanta Thakur explains that no road is bad, in that some roads will end at a dead end, or will give you a lesson that this is not the road I should be taking. And so you will learn from this, oh, this is not good. So by the learning, then you will understand that it's not a favorable road, and then I can go the other way. From that perspective, no road is bad. But we are told what is favorable for bhakti, what is unfavorable for bhakti. So we should try to look at whatever is coming to us, whatever environment is coming to us. How can I utilize this? How can I understand or see this situation in terms of being the mercy of Krishna and in terms of actually being favorable for me. How can I dovetail this to becoming favorable for my progress, my development in Krishna Bhakti? And then move accordingly. So I don't want to take the entire time with this subject, because time is almost up. I didn't even realize it. I would like to share a little bit, at least a few minutes, from Going Beyond Vaikuntha. This is the Bhav Anuvad, the beautiful commentary full of Bhav and Ras by our Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj on the compilation of Sri Sanatan Goswami known as Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Before entering into this book, we will pray to Sri Sanatan Goswami. In the words of Raghunath Das Goswami, Vairaga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnair Apayanan Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripam Mudirya Paradukuduki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. Praying in the dust of the lotus feet of our Srila Gurudev and Sri Sanatan Goswamipada, that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages manifest within our hearts. So yesterday Gurudev was speaking about the difference of Aishwarya and Madhurya. Madhurya means sweetness, and Aishwarya means opulence and majesty, awe and reverence. So when Arjuna saw Krishna's universal form, he was overcome by awesomeness. He was awestruck, and then he began apologizing for treating Krishna as his friend. I have made so many aparads to you. I have treated you like an ordinary person. Please forgive me. Now I understand that you are the Supreme Lord of everything. He began offering so many prayers to Krishna and apologizing for treating him as a friend. And doing all of those things that friends do together. So he was overcome, awestruck by the awesomeness of God. That is Aishwarya Gyan, the knowledge of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. Whereas in Vrindavan, even though it, like lifting Govardhan Hill, or killing Putana, Trinavarta, Shakatasur, so many demons, so many activities that Krishna might do, like lifting Govardhan Hill. Still, the Vrajabasis don't think he is God. As Srila Prabhupada said in the first purport that he gave on Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, the Vrajabasis don't know that Krishna is God. Maybe he's some yogi, or maybe someone is Narayan Shakti is flowing through him. They don't care. All they know is they love him and that he loves them. This is Madhurya. Narvat Lila means human-like pastimes, and this is the main foundation of Madhurya Rasa. That one does not become overcome by Aishwarya, but only thinking that Krishna is like my own dear friend, like my own son, or like my own beloved. Not this mood that he is God. And Krishna loves it so much more when someone has that depth of affection for him, that they don't become overcome even when... So this is a speciality of Vrindavan, the Madhurya, the sweetness. So Arjuna became astonished and said, by calling you friend, I have committed a great offense. In the future, I will never call you friend and never again make you the driver of my chariot. I have committed a great offense. This was Aishwarya Buddhi. Buddhi means knowledge or intelligence of the opulence or majesty of God. Awareness of Krishna's majesty. And it was not suitable for Naralila. Naralila means human-like pastimes. So that Aishwarya is not compatible with the human-like pastimes. After witnessing Krishna's killing of Kamsa, let me just read this one thing. That which is not suitable for his pastimes in human form, Naralila, is Madhurya. The meaning of Madhurya is that which is not suitable. The Gurudev says, here we must not even imagine that when Krishna is in Rasa Lila, that his multiple forms, or what appears to be multiple forms, we must not even imagine that this is done by Aishwarya, opulence or majesty. It is Madhurya. What is the meaning of Madhurya? That which is suitable for his pastimes in human form, Naralila. And that which is opposed to that, to Naralila, is Aishwarya. So that which is opposed to maintaining this mood, this human-like friendship mood with Krishna, that is known as Aishwarya. And that's why Arjuna was affected like that. It was opposed to this human-like relationship, therefore this Aishwarya Buddhi, Aishwarya Gyan took over. So after witnessing Krishna's killing of Kamsa, Vasudeva and Devaki forgot about lovingly feeding him milk. This is another type of sentiment that is not suitable for Krishna's Naralila, and therefore it is Aishwarya. When they saw that Krishna killed Kamsa, also Vasudeva and Devaki, think about it, Krishna was in her womb, but how did he appear? He didn't appear like an ordinary child is born to Devaki. We see in Srimad Bhagavatam that he manifested in front of Vasudeva and Devaki as Narayan, four-armed form, with a helmet, or conch shell disc club and lotus flower in his, like Narayan Vishnu form, in front of them. And Devaki and Vasudeva, they offered him all kinds of prayers. So he manifested like Narayan to them. But how did Krishna manifest to Yashoda? Just as a newborn baby, like that. Only after Vasudeva and Devaki prayed to him, please, we would like to see you in a baby form. He said, okay, but as soon as I take my baby form, bring me to Vrindavan and switch me with the son of Yashoda. This is what Krishna told Vasudeva and Devaki. So, it is said that Devaki, and that time when Krishna became a baby, she gave him her milk once. And then Vasudeva Maharaj immediately went, all the guards fell asleep, the gates opened, he carried Krishna across the Jamuna, brought him to Nanda Bhavan, Mother Yashoda, and there switched Krishna, with the young daughter, not the young son, please forgive me, of Mother Yashoda. Why did I say young son? Because according to those who are seers of the truth, they have gone deep into all of these subjects. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and our Gaudiya Guru Varga and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita confirm this. Prabhupada also confirms this in Srimad Bhagavatam, not in the Krishna book, but in the 10th canto, in his own purport commentaries, before Brahma Vimohan Lila, which is where he stopped. He also confirms this fact. Our Gurudev, all of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, Rupanuga Guru Varga, confirmed this fact, that Yashoda gave birth to twins, Krishna and Yogamaya. And Vasudeva Maharaj exchanged his Krishna, Mathura Krishna, with her baby girl on the order of Krishna, and brought that Yogamaya back to the jail cell of King Kamsa. When he found out that they had a child, he came, grabbed that child, and tried to dash it to the floor, but instead, she took her form as Durga, who is his Ishta Devi. Kamsa worshipped Durga. She kicked him in the head as she was flying into the air. Kamsa, you are such a fool. He has already been born somewhere else. And she used these words. He was already born somewhere else. Interesting, isn't it? The one who will kill you was born somewhere else. So he was born somewhere else. He was born in Gokul. And the Mathura Krishna is a manifestation from the original or Adi Krishna. So there was no need for two of them there. When Krishna is there, wherever any other form is there or avatar, they are all within him. If they manifest outside, then they are manifesting as avatars. Otherwise, when they're with him, then they merge back into him. So Vasudeva's Krishna merged back into the original source of himself, and that is Yashoda or Nanda's Krishna. This is all explained very, very clearly by our Srila Gurudev in many places, but also by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Sarartha Darshani. It's also explained by many of our acharyas. It is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, and also in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, Vasudeva and Devaki, after Krishna killed Kamsa, seeing this Aishwarya, they didn't have, or they forgot about the feeling of lovingly feeding him milk. They didn't have this upsurge to give him milk. This is another type of sentiment that is not suitable for Krishna's Naralila, or earthly or human-like pastimes, and therefore it is Aishwarya, knowledge of his majesty. But in Vrindavan, when Krishna lifted the massive Govardhan hill, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Yashoda felt proud and thought, today our son has lifted Govardhan. But the feeling that Krishna was her son did not leave her. Krishna exhibited his opulence of being all-powerful in lifting Govardhan. But the sentiment that Krishna was her son never left her heart, and she simply thought, my son is so strong. There is no one in the entire world stronger than him. So she became a proud mother. In the confusion of divine separation, what's the time?
Just about time to finish. You can leave the proud son.
So we'll leave it with Madheshwara is so proud of Krishna, thinking my son is so strong, he's the strongest boy in the world. But still, her motherly affection, her Vatsalya prem did not diminish one bit. It only increases more and more, the motherly pride.
Yay.
So Shri Yashodanandan ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Sanatan Goswamipada ki jai. Shri Gopkumar ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Gaur Premande Hari Hari Gaur. So sweet.
I don't have a voice.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't need it, but I want it. Yes. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति। राधे राधे राधे, राधे राधे राधे, जय 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 श्री राधे, राधे राधे राधे, जय 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 श्री राधे। ओ वृंदावन हरि लाल की जय, जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे। So thank you very much for being with us today, for giving me the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudeva and for engaging us in this beautiful service that our Gurudev gave us so many years before. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranam.
Radhe Radhe,